It's not high tech, but this is a really nice way to cook things. And that's just gonna pick it up.
If this were mine, I would keep an armed guard. Because I don't know how you let this sit.
Oh, I think I've got a reputation that if somebody ever touched this on the hotel grounds, no, it's all over. It's game over at that point. But that's the kind of food that we do. We do really slow cooking. They might take all day, but they might only take us a minute to put on the plate. But the thing is, sometimes we'll get somebody's dinner out and they say, "How did you get that out so quick?" And I said, "Your dinner started yesterday, man." You know.
You ready? Hi, this is Howard Seftel with Turning the Tables. Today, we're in glorious Sedona, and as if that's not glorious enough, we're headed to one of the best Mexican restaurants on planet Earth, Elote Cafe, and its amazing chef, Jeff Smedstad.
And this is sort of the secondary kitchen down here where we've got even more going on. Of course, we wouldn't be elote without the corn. So we're trimming up the corn for tonight. This is just what we do every day. This is part of the chores.
Trimmed by machine.
Not trimmed by machine, no.
And let's get right down to business. Here's a beautiful bottle of mezcal.
We're just gonna put a little bit into one of your palms. I'll put a little bit over here, and then rub your hands together. Now smell. And you'll get the fruitiness, you'll get the actual roasting, and you'll really kind of get to know the maguey a lot better that way.
Wow, there's like a half a dozen notes going on at the same time.
Exactly, and as you feel the warmth coming up, then when you breathe, then you'll get the notes without the heavy alcohol. So, cheers. Salud.
Let's just say, Elote Cafe, there is no better Mexican restaurant that I am aware of than Elote Cafe.
It's already grilled, we're cutting this off. Go right ahead. Yeah. Now if that gets old, something's wrong with you. That never gets old to me. When I was 21, I went down to Mazatlan for my 21st birthday with my best buddy at the time, and we were down there and we met some girls. And then I ended up traveling back to chase this particular girl down in central Mexico. And at the same time, I was getting out of the Coast Guard and I was going to be starting culinary school. But I got a chance to go into Mexican markets, be immersed in the Mexican culture. I fell in love with the food that I hadn't seen growing up as a kid.
He's not, he doesn't fetishize authenticity. But what he does is he works from a basis of Mexican cuisine, and like a real artist adds his own creative touch.
And this is some of the other food that I was talking about, and this is kind of the epitome of the way that we cook here.
So you don't come here because this is the way people eat a certain dish in a certain Mexican village. You eat here because the food transports you both to Mexico and into Smedstad's imagination.
So these are buffalo short ribs.
Oh my goodness.
And those are gonna go with mole poblano tonight. So yeah, you wouldn't normally get buffalo short ribs with mole poblano, but I thought of the sweetness of the buffalo meat and how it might marry up. And then up here, you can smell that, it's beautiful.
Wow.
Up here, so this is smoked pork cheeks. And these are gonna cook like little hams until they're really tender. And that's cooking in a mixture of Coca-Cola, milk, and orange juice.
Mexican Coca-Cola or?
Mexican Coca-Cola, milk, and orange juice. So we took some cues from making carnitas down in Mexico, and then we took some cues from living in the deep south for a while, which I did when I lived in Georgia. And then I kept going back down, and I would find out something new. And then I got a chance to go down to Oaxaca, and I studied with Susanna Trilling. And then we went around to all these other ladies' ranches, and we cooked with them.
So what did you do in the Coast Guard? Were you a chef there?
I started cooking there, and my first experience was in Japan. So I went to cooking school, and I applied to be on an icebreaker to go see the world.
A Coast Guard cooking school?
Yeah, they had one.
Okay, so you're in the Coast Guard, you're going to cooking school, and they send you to an island.
They send me to an island halfway between Japan and Hawaii, and there's 30 men living there that I'm going to cook for a year.
This sounds like a bad Alfred Hitchcock movie.
And there's nobody else there. Over here, smoked chicken. And that's perfectly cooked.
Wow.
And it's nice and juicy, it's organic. Again, we're starting with things that we like.
Holy moly. Right.
So then I opened up this little book with this fat guy on the cover who looked like Chef Boyardee, who I don't know.
This, I'm guessing, is
it was the James Beard cookbook.
Wow.
And that night they were like, this was good. So I spent 36 hours making croissants because I'm on a desert island. I got nothing else to do. And that's how we did it. And I was like, this is fantastic. All of a sudden I'm getting medals, awards, citations.
Really?
They're doing formal ceremonies they're doing these ceremonies to honor me. And so I started cooking different things. And I never went back to cooking any more government stuff. But after that, I was hooked on being a chef. I saw the impact you can make in someone's day with a good meal. And respect for the ingredients and respect for the ideas. And then you can apply that over the board on everything you do. It doesn't necessarily have to do with making, great tortillas.
Right.
But you can apply the respect of a great tortilla in searching out the proper flour.
And you know what a
making
great
the homemade-
tortilla is supposed to taste like.
I do, from the travels down to Mexico.
Right, right.
And that's what you want.
Right.
And you don't get that from a book. And that was part of the reason too that I've spent so many years traveling in Mexico. And
So you know what it's supposed to taste like.
yes. And
You've been to the source as
I have
opposed
been
to
to the source.
getting it secondhand.
Exactly. And a lot of these recipes and a lot of these things that we're talking about, some of them are in the first cookbook and some of them are in the second cookbook. And the reason that I write books, it's been a nice way to try to connect with people. Because, it's about connections. Like you said, I'm not the world's greatest businessman, but I want people to know a little bit more about what we're doing. And so it's kind of like a conversation that continues on. That's what I love. And when you hit that, you've really done something. You made it sing.
Yeah, it's
And that's where all the gratification and all the thrill of what I do. I mean, I've been cooking for 30 years.
that long?
And I get up and I'm just as excited today. In fact, probably more excited today than I was 30 years ago. I don't worry too much about people loving or hating things. I just worry about it being great.
Yeah, you open for dinner at 5 o'clock?
Yes,
What time do people get started?
9 a.m. every day.
So it's a full day of work
Yes,
before your day starts.
exactly.
Yes, if you want to go into the restaurant business, my advice is sit down and think it over and then do something else.
Exactly.
Unless you want to work 16 hours a day.
I mean, just think how much time you might spend making pico de gallo.
Yeah.
That's an hour, over an hour just on pico de gallo.
But he's in a region where he understands the ingredient. He makes many trips to Mexico, and I don't mean as a tourist in Mexico City, but deep into villages to study mezcal, tequila, how to make tortillas. He's fluent in Spanish, and he's absolutely passionate about what he does. I think you have a chef, a man in the right place at the right time, doing the right food. And when it all comes together like that, the results are magical.
Oye, José, ya veo que tú me tienes miedo. Anda, escóndete que si te cojo, ¡ja! Tú vas a ver.